Welcome back to the Traders Network. I'm Michael Yorba, your host. Thanks for joining us. We're also streaming to you live on yorbamedia.com, coming to you live from the Dallas KFXR 1190 AM Clear Channel studios. All right, it's my extreme pleasure to bring on Matthew Lehman, CEO, Prima BioMed. These people are leading-edge cancer solvers. There's a problem out there, and help me out with this, Matthew. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, well, thank you, Michael. We are a company, as you mentioned. We're developing something we call personalized immunocellular therapies, and we're doing this to try to treat cancer. In particular, we're looking at ovarian cancer as well as starting to look at pancreatic cancer. And as much as I'd love to say we will solve everything, cancer is a complex disease. And I do think what we've been learning in the scientific community over the last few years is that, the immune system has a very significant role in being able to control cancer, treat cancer, kill cancer cells. And so what we're trying to do with our therapies is to really engage the immune system, engage your white blood cells, your killer T cells, and really get those redirected in the right way so that they're able to recognize and kill cancer cells. So we're very pleased to, there are a number of companies, a number of institutions looking at immune approaches, and we're very happy to be one of the leaders in using immune cells to do this.
Tell me, give our audience, by the way, PBMD is your ticker symbol, right?
That is correct. So just maybe by way of background, the company Prima BioMed was spun out of a research institute in Australia, in Melbourne, called the Austin Research Institute, and it's a very well-regarded immunology research center in Australia. So our primary listing is actually in Australia on the ASX. It trades under the ticker symbol there as PRR. In the U.S., yes, as you mentioned, we're listed on NASDAQ as well, and our ticker symbol in the U.S. is PBMD.
Now, you have several potential applications in the cure for cancer. Give us a feeling for those.
Yeah, sure. So, during the course of clinical trials and developing products, you start with looking at specific indications at a time. Our primary focus over the last couple of years has been in ovarian cancer. We have actually completed 3 human trials in ovarian cancer, getting started now with a larger phase 2 trial. Just in the next couple of weeks and months, we'll be recruiting new patients into that trial for ovarian cancer. And we will also be starting this quarter, so early on in 2014, we'll be looking at doing a pilot trial in pancreatic cancer as well. More broadly and over the longer term, we do think our product's called CVAC, and it's based on trying to retrain your white blood cells to recognize something called mucin 1. And mucin 1 is actually present on a number of cancer types, and over time we would certainly take the opportunity to look at this application in other cancer types in addition to ovarian and pancreatic cancer.
What about the global breadth of your operations? Give our audience a feel for it. Now we know that you're working on the cures for cancer, multiple, but let's give our audience a feeling for the scope of your company, the global breadth that you bring to the marketplace.
Yeah, sure. So, as I mentioned, we were spun out of Australia. Right. The first 2 early trials, and certainly our continuing clinical trials, are also ongoing in Australia. That's actually still our headquarters, even though I am based here in the U.S. and in California in the San Francisco Bay Area. Then, of course, we've made the U.S. Bigger focus, in particular over the last year and a half or so as we're getting later in development. So we have clinical trials ongoing here in the U.S., as well as a little bit more of the capital markets focus, which started with our listing on NASDAQ about a year and a half ago. And actually our biggest operation is currently in Germany, in Leipzig, Germany, as well as a smaller office in Berlin, which is not far from Leipzig. We do a lot of our manufacturing and our manufacturing development based in Leipzig, and we've been a big beneficiary of what's called the Saxony Development Bank, which is there in Germany. They've actually provided us up to 8 million euros in grants, so that's $10 million or more in non-dilutive grant support to actually help this cutting-edge technology as we're developing our manufacturing for these types of products.
Tell me about the products, how they work in the human body. What are you doing with your products, and how does it work in a human? Because you're already through which I was really amazed to hear. You're already through some of the human trials.
Yeah, sure. Well, Michael, so let me start by telling you what the product is and how we make it.
Sure.
So CVAC, it's actually based on a patient's own white blood cells.
Okay.
So, any patient that comes into our trials that we're testing, we actually take, and these are women with ovarian cancer, so we're taking her white blood cells. We do this through a process called apheresis, it's basically kind of like a dialysis type of thing, but it's for blood. It cycles your blood through. We take the white blood cells we're interested in, and we return the rest of your blood back, and that takes a few hours. We then ship those white blood cells for manufacturing to one of our manufacturing facilities. It's a 1-week manufacturing process to make the product CVAC. And what we're doing there is we're basically, we're trying to isolate something in your white blood cells. It's called a dendritic cell. The dendritic cell is the so-called general of your immune system. So when you have an infection or when you have a malignant cell, in a normal, healthy person, your dendritic cells are able to recognize that cell as foreign. Those dendritic cells are then able to stimulate and sort of train and direct what are called your T cells, your killer T cells. These are the white blood cells that actually kill foreign agents in your body. Mm-hmm. And so what we're doing with your dendritic cells is we're actually retraining them to be able to recognize cancer cells that are in your body as malignant cells, as foreign cells that shouldn't be there. And we do this by training them with a protein called mucin 1. That's what I mentioned previously. Mm-hmm. And when we retrain those dendritic cells with mucin 1, we then turn that into a product. We freeze it into a vial. There's small injections, 1 ml injections, so very small injections. And we freeze those, and then we ship them back to the doctor. The doctor then injects CVAC into the patient right under the skin, very small injections. We're doing this currently. What we're testing is we're testing 6 of these injections over the course of about a year, actually about 11 months. And what these dendritic cells, they then distribute through your body. And what we're trying to do is, again, retrain your immune system to be able to recognize these cells as cancer. That for some reason, when cancer happens, it's probably a malfunction of your immune system. Your dendritic cells have just not been able to recognize that these are foreign malignant cells growing in your body. And by retraining your dendritic cells, we believe, and we have some good evidence in the early trials that we're able to do this, is these dendritic cells are then able to stimulate your killer T cells, and those killer T cells are able to recognize, hey, that's a cancer cell, these are cancer cells, and be able to move in that direction to kill those cells.
Wow. Thank you for helping mankind like you are. It's just really, really refreshing. Now, we're almost out of time, and there's no way I could get all of the questions that I have because you just opened up Pandora's box for me with this. But let our audience know how to reach you if you're going to be someplace where they can shake your hand and talk to you more in depthly about it. If you have an IR department with somebody there, they can talk to research report. How can our audience find their way to you so that they can not only get involved with your product, but actually talk to your investment people about putting a portion of their portfolio in filling it with the equity?
Yeah, sure. I mean, certainly the best place and collect all of our information is our website. Right. That's www.primabiomed, altogether, PRIMABIOMED.com.au. Don't forget the AU. We are an Australian company. And there we do have an investor section on our website. Has all of our SEC filings as well as some more of the investment information. We have sections on the technology itself, sections on the clinical trials that are going on. So I definitely recommend that. That's probably the best place. Has the contact information there for our investor relations group and all of these types of things. That's probably the single best place to go.
I really look forward to following up with you on the processes and the results that you're going to achieve for mankind.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Michael. I appreciate the time.
And thank you for coming on to the show. We'll talk to you soon, Matthew.
Okay, great. Have a good day.
My pleasure. All right. Matthew Lehman, CEO, Prima BioMed, .com is where you can find them. I definitely recommend following up on this. PBMD is a symbol, PRR if you're in Australia. And another company I want to thank, Monk Media. Special thanks to Monk Media and 1-800 Public Relations for all their PR and media support. Up next, Nick Santiago, President and CEO in the Money Stocks. We're going to talk about Apple, JP Morgan, BBVY, PNRA, and CVX. We'll be right back.